Seahawks, first place in the NFC West. I should say back in first place. And it is wild, Bump. The roller coaster of emotions this team has taken fans on. It makes sense. You start out with 3 wins. You're feeling really, really strong. You get a loss to the Lions, but it felt like a moral victory. Like you were like, man, you put up a fight, short 6 starters on defense. And then it went downhill. And then you started seeing bad offensive line play making you pay. You started seeing mistakes by Geno Smith. And you started seeing a run defense that really, really struggled. So I'm going to start with this question. Seahawks are back in first place. How'd they get here, considering where they were?
How'd they get here? Niners, Rams, and then you handling business.
Yeah.
Imagine if they beat the Rams. They'd be, what's the record right now? They'd be 7-4 right now if they beat the Rams. But you know what? They got away with one. But they've won divisional games, and the division has helped you out. San Francisco getting mopped by the Green Bay Packers 38-10 is always going to help. Seeing Saquon Barkley do his dance against the Rams is going to help. So what happened was you played some good football as of late. That defense has stepped up. The offense has done just enough, and you've gotten help around the division. The Niners have been banged up. The Rams are trying to figure some things out defensively, and it's just all a cluster. And say what you want about the Arizona Cardinals going into this game. They were a good football team. Now, I think they still are a good football team. I think the Hawks defensive line just went to work on them, man. It was I was talking to the color guy, Ron Wolfley, for the Arizona Cardinals, who's talking to my colleague, Paul Moyer, and he said he's never seen this offensive line dominated the way that they've been dominated. You held the 5th rushing team in the league to under 100 points, convincingly under 100 points. Kyler Murray didn't get loose like he used to. James Conner didn't have those big moments. So you've taken care of business. It's like you're getting better and everyone else is getting weaker. And that's a good sign. Now you just need the offense to fix some things. Yeah. Obviously, Geno, I know y'all coming for Geno. We will talk about his interception, but it's about the defense at this point.
Let's stick with the defense and let's talk about that second level. Well, actually, I should say this, Bump. I want to continue focusing on the run game. You pointed it out, like you held the Cardinals to 49 yards on the ground. You also held the Rams and San Francisco 49ers to maybe not their best rushing performances. And that's really been where this has tightened up. Is that the defensive line? Or is that because of the changes made to linebackers? I mean, what's to you been the catalyst for an improvement here in the run game?
It's always a combo, but you start with the D-line. Leonard Williams, I said before the game, he was my key hog. I had to pat myself on the back after this one. Right? I said key hog. Leonard Williams has to disrupt everything that goes on in that backfield because we know what the Arizona Cardinals like to do. Did exactly that. 2.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, a QB hit, a pass defended. He did dang near everything you can do at his position. It starts with that defensive line. Leonard Williams is playing like a Pro Bowler, like an all-pro type of dude right now. Starts with him. And then you get to that second level. You're watching Ernest Jones and Tyrese Knight take steps forward. When the ball is handed off, they're not waiting. They're not catching blocks. They're taking steps forward. They're meeting force with force. Also, Mike McDonald is running some stunts with these dudes. I love what he's doing with these linebackers right now. My favorite stunt so far is you have your interior lineman in that 3-tech, so in between the guard and the tackle, and then you have your interior linebackers in the A-gaps. When the ball snaps, boom, they switch. So they switch A-gaps. They put that center, in a bind and get after the quarterback. I see him on the edge running some stunts with these guys. He's getting creative. So what that tells me is that guys are understanding the defense a bit more. When you start seeing Mike McDonald, who only blitz with the Ravens about 14% of the time, now they're up to about 21% with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
That's telling me he feels comfortable being aggressive. And maybe he feels that's the way this team has to play to win ball games, but the personnel is allowing him to do that as well. It's fun to watch.
We talk about confidence that grows as a team when you play well, confidence in your teammates that allows you to trust they're going to be where they're going to be, and that can make a defense better. Let's talk about confidence in a head coach. Devin Witherspoon, after the game, Bump, said Mike McDonald was in his bag. And then my favorite part of this was that some of the reporters had to be like, Devin, quick question. When you say he's in his bag, what do you mean by that?
Who asked that question?
I don't know. It was on the transcript.
That was funny.
I was checking out the transcript because I couldn't listen live. I didn't have my headphones. And Devin, you say in his bag. But what he meant was, and he clarified, when he's telling us this is what's going to happen here, and we go out there and we see that, it makes you play confident as a player. What does it mean for Mike McDonald to really be showcasing that and for players to start trusting their head coach? Do you feel like that is going to help this team grow too?
My bad. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I said holding the Cardinals under 100 points. My bad. Holding them under 100 yards rushing. Excuse me.
Yes.
Text line is always good for the correction.
We knew what he meant.
Yeah. What does it mean? It means that when you're a player and you go out and your coaches are preparing you for situations, they're saying this is what we expect when we get into these situations. And you come out there, you look at the down in the distance, you look at the formation, and you say they were right. Mm-hmm. So now you believe in the call even more. Whatever the coach calls, you're going to run regardless. But now that you're out in that situation and they're in that formation and you see the motion that you were expecting, you're really going to get after your assignment. Again, guys are going to do their job regardless, but then it gives you a bit more confidence. Not everything that Mike McDonald is calling, these guys have another different pace to them. The energy is different with them. And that's what I saw with this defense. They were flying around. Big ups Julian Love back there making some plays. Witherspoon did a good job forcing a lot of runs inside, making plays. Everyone on that defense made a play yesterday. Mm-hmm. And on the defensive line, obviously, you have to search a little harder because their plays don't show up on the stat sheet a lot. But everyone on that defense made a play. So that tells me these guys are prepared. They're seeing what coaches tell them they're going to see.
Yeah.
And then Mike McDonald is just letting them loose, man. He's getting after the quarterback.
You ever have a moment when you're like, I forgot how much fun this was? Like maybe you go on like a golf trip with your boys, or maybe you go out for like a date night and it's just you and Jen, or like you have some kind of moment when you're like, oh man, I forgot how much fun it is to like just be carefree and easy, or I forgot how much fun it is to feel like we're like in our 20s or whatever it is.
I call that Vegas.
Vegas, exactly, right? Like there are probably moments in Vegas where you're like, man, I forgot how much fun this is. That's how I felt watching this defense. Like I had forgotten, and I know that there are Seahawks fans that feel the same way, how much fun it is to watch football when the defense is dominant. Don't get me wrong. I love a shootout. I love watching, a thriller where people are, it's like a 43-38 kind of thing, and you're like, whoa, this is unreal. But I forgot how suffocating a good defense can feel for an opponent. And that's the feeling that I had watching this game. I don't know if anyone else felt that, but I had it wasn't nostalgia, like a Legion of Boom nostalgia by any means, because that defense was historically great, and this defense is just kind of turning a corner and figuring things out. But to watch good defense, I forgot how fun that was.
It is fun because you feel dominant. In a shootout, shootout is like a finesse game. A shootout is watching two featherweight boxers go at it, and no one's going to knock each other out, but you're going to see a lot of punches. They're going to be landed. It's going to be entertaining. It'll be fun.
This is a perfect analogy, by the way.
But then you get into the heavyweights. In the heavyweights, you're looking for the knockout. You're saying someone's going to get kicked, and you see the dominance. I think that's what we saw with these Seahawks, the dominance. Going into this game, Kyler Murray was sacked 15 times in 9-10 games. He was sacked 5 times yesterday, 5 times. And it started early. The very first possession, you got Boye Mafe getting after the quarterback. You got young Tyrese Knight getting involved. Leonard Williams gets involved as well. It was a dominant performance. Kyler Murray did not get loose. And that was one of the things that I think everyone was looking to see if it were going to go down that way. Kyler Murray, when you combine him and James Conner, they're a top 5 rushing attack, and they did not look like that. Even though McBride got loose. McBride, the tight end, had himself a day going across the middle of the field. I'm going to break some of that down in 4-down territory. But it's almost, I heard one of the players say in the postgame, I forgot who it was. Maybe it was Kobe Bryant. He said, you kind of got to give up something to get something. And they decided, we are not going to allow this team to run at us. Kyler Murray's not going to get outside the pocket. We're going to be disciplined. We're going to force everything inside. We're not going to allow James Conner to get going. So you give up something with that tight end, because I said this before the game, McBride is a convincing blocker. He will convince you that he is blocking, and then he will release. He has a good knack for that. That's how they got fooled most of the time. So when they saw him down block, they're crashing downhill. The safeties are getting in there, and it worked for the most part. He still didn't score a touchdown. He did help to move the football. There's also a stat that NASA gave me the other day. He said when the Arizona Cardinals go goal to goal, right, when they start backed up and they get inside the 10-yard line and they're going for a touchdown, so far this season they're 16 for 16. Yesterday they got a stop. The first stop the Seahawks have gotten on these guys when it comes to goal to goal in those situations, the Cardinals have been perfect. So there are some things that they did that were impressive, man. They got tight down in the red zone. They didn't let Kyler Murray get outside the pocket. James Conner couldn't get going. It's all about that box right now.